Hey YouTube, this is the art of prepping. So what happens if your shoelaces rip or tear and they're only half the length as they were? You don't have to panic. What you can simply do, and while this is somewhat common sense, believe it or not, the people who I've asked how to solve this problem really didn't know what to do. So I'm like, really? So maybe if they didn't know, you might not know either, but I assume you would because you guys are super smart. As I got my dirty shoes on, they're nice and dusty from working out in the yard, and so we're all officially, prepping here. We're doing things, we're moving, so just ignore the shoes. But so your shoelaces are about half the size. So what you can do though is, since they're laced all the way down here toward the base of the tongue of this tongue flap, you can actually just unlace it and start maybe like 2 to 3 holes higher up from the end of the tongue. So you start here instead of down here. And so what you do is you can weave it starting here, and all of a sudden you have enough room to do a tie off. So that's just a tip. Now let's just say that you have one of your shoelaces gets caught up, maybe like you're jumping a fence, maybe it's a survival situation, or you're trying to evade someone that's trying to hurt you, and you get caught in barbed wire in a fence, and it just literally just shredded the entire shoelace. And you don't have a paracord survival bracelet, you don't have a paracord belt. In fact, you don't even have paracord on your key ring, which you probably should. And what are you going to do? So the shoelace is pretty much destroyed. It's literally just falling off as you're running away. You managed to get to a safe location. And while you're there, making your next plans on how you're going to get to safety, you just go ahead and remove the last little remnants of the shoelace. What you can do is, on your other shoe, take the shoelace that isn't compromised, take it off all the way, and cut it in half. And like we just said earlier, you can start maybe about halfway up the tongue here of your shoe and lace just that section. And then take the other half and lace the other. So you can take one shoelace and make it two. Especially if one is completely compromised. This is just a random, quick type of tip here. But this can be done for applications for a lot of things. Sometimes you don't need the full amount of anything, or a lot of things at least, to get something done. And that goes for, for things that are like, drawstrings for various types of packs, especially those who have the drawstring top, and they're more like the large cavernous type, big pocket type deal packs, the ones that don't really have a lot of individual compartments. Those big dump sacks is what I call them. They have those rivets and all around the top. That are like grommeted, if you will. They're like grommets that you can basically tether, some cording around and stuff. And those grommets, though, sometimes don't literally need to be fed through every one to actually make it cinch. You can actually do shortcuts. If you had a smaller piece, if you really had to, you can just do a crisscross or an X. And just take 2 small pieces and pull those two, if there's like 4 grommets, you can pull 2 of them together, and then take another piece and pull the other 2. And while it may not be super, super tight, you could probably get it very tight though. It would be very similar to if you had a longer piece. So anyways, there's a lot of ways around the problems, especially in the wilderness. So just always think outside the box. Sometimes just take a moment and clear your mind and reevaluate what you really need done. What is the end goal? What is the mission? What do you need solved? And just let it come to you. Don't try to think about it too hard. Like, don't force it. But in the back of your mind, when you're relaxed, these things are actually just flowing around, and before you know it, it goes from the unconscious mind to the conscious mind, and before you know it, you become aware of the answers. As always, you guys be careful and be safe. Enjoy the woods. At least here in America, we're in fall, full on fall. It's beautiful. The trees are starting to really turn. I'm not sure if you can see a lot of this. They're just starting to turn a yellow, orange. Some of them even a little bit of a red, but most of them are kind of a deeper orange. And I got various turkey vultures flying around. There's all kinds of things. I had a snake that came up to me actually yesterday and tried to bite me. And It was not a good situation. Luckily, I did not get bit, but I did dispatch the snake. I'm not a real big fan of hurting animals or even killing animals, but it was a threatening animal, and it was on my property, and I was afraid someone else might get hurt, so I took care of it. But it was amazing, though. Within a matter of like an hour, vultures came down and picked the body clean and basically just took the rest of the carcass away. I was like, wow. So there's a lot of animals that actually prey on other animals here, obviously. And, I did that video about, the black bear in my area and the pumas and stuff. I was really shocked that I pretty much have gotten no response. Like, I don't know if people just aren't watching it. I noticed that the views were low. But if you have any information about personal protection gear besides pepper spray or bear spray, but more specifically firearm related, I'd be all ears. Because sometimes I do feel like maybe I'm undergunned or in the woods, and we have to take all precautions, especially when we have large predators. Those especially up north and northwest, I think that they deal with this quite a bit too. And I'm not saying that I don't live in the north or northwest. I just live somewhere in the United States. That's all I can say. But what I'm saying is that there's a lot of critters running around. Some of them not so little, actually. It's there's some big creatures, is what I should say, running around. Honestly, last year when I had that sighting at least I think I saw a type of Bigfoot or something that I couldn't explain. Maybe, just maybe, it could have been a bear. I don't think so, because I know what a bear looks like and how the bear walks in the gait of the bear. This was very odd. It was a very large creature that was upright. That couldn't have been probably a bear. I just don't think it was a bear at all, because it was moving too fast to be upright and moving. I don't know what it was. I still have not figured that one out. But hey, you guys take care.